Good morning, how everyone doing today? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma Jill Spirits Divine. I'm here to give you a word on today. And we're still doing Bible study, and the topic we're gonna be today is Abraham plead for Sodom. Abraham plead for Sodom on the behalf of Lot. So earlier on we had talked about yesterday about the three men who predicted that Sarah will have a son by next year at the same time. And then the three men had started walking towards Sodom. That's what God had sent them at for the next step. Because now this lesson, where God would destroy Sodom because they are wicked in that city. But Abraham never lived in that city. Abraham never lived in that city. But Abraham will plead, for Sodom on the behalf of his nephew Lot. So this story gonna come from Genesis chapter 18, 16 through 33. So the three men, they was done talking with Abraham, by Abraham being a good host. He walked with them, to the entrance, talking with Abraham. So the three men got up to leave, and Abraham walked along with them to see them out on their way. So the three men, they looked down towards Sodom. They would be their next step, their next stop. Where God is sending them to that city. They're gonna seek out the city. Because what God see, He want to make sure that's exactly what they are doing in that city. So then the Lord says, "Should I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do?" You know, because God knows Lot is in that city. So Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation. So God is making Abraham a powerful nation. And all, the nation on earth will be blessed through Abraham. Abraham, it's a promise that Abraham will be blessed and he will be a blessing. So God had chosen Abraham to direct his children also, his whole household, to keep them in the way of the law, what is right. Because a lot of times, when God, if you the lead of your family and God shows you, to bless you, you have to keep your kids in line to be lining up with God. So his children always lined up with God. But he ain't had but one, two. Yeah, so he wanted his whole household, to be in the way of the law, what is right. So they might not be righteous like Abraham, but at some point we have to have our children to do the right thing that's please God. So now God keep promises. God keep promises. So the Lord said that He will bring Abraham what He had promised him. So He said He's gonna give Abraham what He had promised him. You know, so we know after Abraham, his blessing will go on to his offspring, even though Abraham gonna pass away. His blessing still will go on to his offspring. And God will still be looking out for his offspring. Now God said the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great in their sin. So grieve now that God have to go down himself to see if it has been bad as the outcry that had reached him. So that's why he sent the angels over there to make sure, make sure it's what I'm seeing. It's so much of an outcry of sin that's going on in that city. So he would know, so he can know before he destroy. He didn't want to destroy without knowing first. So now God was talking to these three men, and when God done talking, they went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Now, the other three, they went off. They went out to spy out the city to see exactly what they're doing. But Abraham stood behind, and him and the Lord was still talking. And Abraham had a lot of questions, because so God was saying, should I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? So he told Abraham what I'm about to do. So now Abraham about to ask all kind of questions. Abraham in his feelings now because his nephew was in that city. So he needs to know If they're gonna have righteous people, that you're gonna kill the righteous people along with the wicked people. So Abraham started asking questions because Lot lived there. Abraham asked God, will you sweep away righteous with wicked people? If you line both of them up together. So Abraham asked another question. If there are 50 righteous people, you really will sweep away and not spare that place for the sake of the 50 righteous? So Abraham saying, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. So now this is Abraham pleading for Sodom due to his nephew Lot. So Abraham feel a type of way, because his nephew is in Sodom. So he feeling a type of way. He having faith, being bold, standing up to God. Asking him all these questions. So the Lord had revealed to Abraham his plan to investigate and bring judgment on the city of Sodom and Gomorrah for their great sinfulness. Abraham is standing with the Lord as with two angels walking towards Sodom. Abraham started asking the Lord some hard questions. He started asking God all these questions because he in his feelings right now. Because his nephew and him like, yeah, you about to destroy this whole city. Hold up, my nephew was in that city. So he trying to ask God all these hard questions, if he can change his mind, you know. So Abraham seemed to have heart for the city to be spared on Lot account. So when God really brings judgment, there affect righteous people as well as wicked people. That are good and that are bad. That we think will stop God from doing so. So Abraham just asking all these questions. Abraham asks, will the Lord sweep away righteous with the wicked? Will he not spare the city for the sake of 50 righteous people? After Abraham had finished speaking, he said, far be it from you. And he said that twice. He really was upset. He really was in his feelings. He had bold. He was bold to stand up to God and ask him all these questions. So we can't define justice and righteousness. And when he does not meet our expectation, he is God and he is the judge. So no matter how we feel, he is God and he gonna make his decision the way he wanna make his decision. So now Abraham is still speaking. He is still speaking. And he said, I hope you're not angry. Now, he done asked God all these questions. Being bold, standing up to God, face to face, asking him all these questions. Then he gonna tell God, I hope you're not angry, you know. But what if only, 10 can be found there, you know? And he is God. He is God answer. For the sake of 10, I will not destroy. So when the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left and Abraham returned home. So Abraham went home. So he still, God gonna still destroy that city, but Abraham gonna go home. Abraham still gonna pray to God to save. They're gonna be in the next package to save Lot in some kind of way. So the angels that God gonna send over there to Sodom, them angels gonna pull Lot and his family out of it. And then the angels pull them out of there. They're gonna tell them, you keep on running straight and do not look back. And we all know that his wife gonna look back. They're gonna be on the next page. So this would be like hearing that the town just down the road. Now see, Sodom, all of that is canon. All that is canon. But they're walking from where Abraham was at and walked to Sodom. So it was like right down the street. So this would be like hearing that the town just down the road is about to experience a major disaster. And he right there. Sodom is, anytime they can leave from by Abraham and just walk to Sodom. It's not even that far. Because him and Lot had to separate, but they didn't want to go too far from each other. So Lot had walked down and found him a little spot where it happened to be Sodom. you know. So it was like down the road, Abraham said, and they about to experience major disaster, and your closest relatives that lived there. So apparently Abraham know that the city won't pass muster, for he asked God to turn the scales of justice upside down and preserve it. So the city, for the sake of the few good, Abraham requests. It's one of the great faith to stand up to God. He had great faith to stand up to God, and then had the chief to ask him, "I hope you're not mad, but saying many for the few righteous." He not only was saving just on a life. He saved that's 10 good people. When you save, God did say yes. So it's a few people, that God was saved, and before he destroyed that city, and at the end of the day, God had a last word. He made the decision. He is the judge. Abraham was uptight due to Lot living there, and he had faith to stand up to God and ask God all these hard questions, but later on, Abraham will pray, you know, to God, to save, to spare. Now see, when you pray to God, you don't know how He gonna do it. You don't know how He would do to fulfill your prayers. Now He gonna pray to God for life, but He don't know how He was gonna save life. God was gonna save life by sending them angels that's already there to pull them out of there. you know. So he asked God all the hard questions. He took a walk and went home. But when he went home, he still prayed for Lot. And God did remember his prayers and did save Lot. So for Lot, for God to remember him, you know, and in the midst of the disaster that's about to become of that city. So he walked away. He walked away saying he didn't ask so many questions. That's the first time, we saw Abraham just standing up to God like that. We see that he really loved his nephew Lot. Remember he went and rescued Lot from being great, being carried away from Sodom. So no matter how they get into an argument, them two they're gonna stick together. And I'm surprised she didn't just act like, but sometimes Light is hard head, Light is a grown man also. So a lot of time Abraham can say, look, treating like a child, look, I need you to just come back home. Just come back over here. We work it out some kind of way. Sometimes you gotta let people be grown, and make their own decision and just pray to God, and God handle things in his own way. And we don't when we pray to God, we don't know how he gonna handle our prayers and how he gonna complete our prayers and stuff. So we see that the city that like live in, the three men. That's the three men. He had them to stop by Abraham first to predict that Sarah would have a baby. Then they walk on to Sodom, down the road. That would God send them for their next step, to check out the city, to see the outcry, that reach up to God to make sure it's the same that he hearing, before he destroyed it. He said it's just too much wickedness in that city, so God said he's not gonna destroy with water no more. So he gonna destroy that city in his way, and he not destroying the whole nation. He just destroying that city. So I guess he had given them some time to change, and I see when he give you time to change, and you don't change, it then destruction kick in. And Abraham fit in his way, because his nephew there. Instead of Abraham calling when he can't call, instead of Abraham going over there to affirm Lot, look, I need you to come out this city, God about to destroy this city. But he did not. He did not want Lot. He did not contact Lot and his family to move out of there. That's what he could have did. He could have just told like, look, God about to destroy this city. You need to, you and your family needs to get out of this city. But he put it in God's hands. He went home and he prayed to God to save Lot and his family. And they're gonna be the next package that he wanted God to remember him in his prayer on behalf of Lot, and God will remember his prayers on behalf of Lot. He will have the angels to save Lot and his family, to pull them out of there. In the process of being pulled out of there, you cannot look back, so that's gonna be the next package, so that's all the word I have for you on today. Y'all have a blessed and safe day, and I see y'all in the next video.